Megan, how are you?
Good, Ashley, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So I'm Ashley Deans. I'm the communications specialist at GWHT, and we are doing our student spotlight interviews. Today we're interviewing Megan. So Megan, why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself, what your role is at GWHT, and what research team you're a part of.
Sure, that sounds good. So I am a 6th-year graduate student in the lab, and I work on the breast cancer imaging project, which is a pretty broad subject. We've got a lot of grad students in that space, but specifically I'm interested in developing ways to image the specific metabolism of breast cancer to tell us the differences between primary tumors, dormant tumors, and recurrent tumors to see if we can inform further treatments based on their metabolism.
That's awesome. So tell me more broadly, why are you interested in health inequities and or women's health?
Yeah. So I am a huge believer, and so is everyone in this center, that women's health is human and public health. And I've really never seen differences between like the greater health of the general public in the world and just women's health. And then the fact that that's even really a question, I think, goes to why I chose to go into that field in general.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. So changing course a little bit, at GWHT, you have your lab role, but you're also involved in teaching, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of my time at Duke, I've served as teaching assistants for 2 different classes, which have been great. And then on top of that, I was able to help develop and run a seminar style class for all first years coming into the BME graduate program. That's to help them better transition into grad school and kind of highlight the different resources around campus and prepare them for like the larger milestones that will come of being in grad school. And then lastly, the last 2 semesters, I have been an adjunct professor at in biology at Durham Technical College, which is right down the road from my house, which has been awesome. So it's been really interesting transitioning remote starting in March, but I think both I and my students learned a lot through the process.
Well, congrats, that's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So now that I know a little bit more about what you do, this is a very broad question, but tell me, what are your goals?
Yeah, good question. So I'm currently writing my dissertation and preparing my defense, which happens to fall on my birthday, which is like a huge goal that I feel like has been in the like very far in my future for a long time. So I'm having a hard time seeing really anything beyond that at the current moment. But after that, like I've said previously, I've really fallen in love with teaching. So being able to translate skills from the research and from the lab into different styles of teaching and learning, I really want to be involved with, especially with hands-on learning in the STEM field, is so important to help grasp concepts. I think it'll be a really big challenge in the next year or so to think about how we can envision what that will look like in the time of a global pandemic, because not everyone can be like elbow to elbow in the lab, like soldering circuits together. But I think it's so fascinating to figure out how we're going to solve that problem. And I think dealing with that problem is what I would like to put my time into. And then someday I want to run a marathon without a mask or a face shield. So I have a few years before I have to worry about training for that. But
well, that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing. So speaking of running a marathon, what are some things that you do outside of the lab to maintain that work-life balance?
Yeah, so for many people, I feel like in this time, the transition from work-life balance has really become kind of a contentious issue and a little bit blurred of a line. I was listening to a podcast recently that they've transitioned to calling it, instead of working from home, to instead sleeping where you work, which is, I feel like, how I started off at the beginning of the pandemic. But I think trying to make hard and fast, like start of day, end of day timelines, because of my research and the nature of my experiments, I spend a lot of time in like a pitch black room, turning on and off lasers, normally by myself, which sounds about as glamorous as it is. And because of that, I really need sunshine to kind of like get back to reality. So I started a little garden in the back of my back deck with lots of veggies that I've been trying to eat through. And then just having like a hard and fast stop and start of the day. So starting the day doing yoga or some other workouts, and then ending my day with cooking with a few podcasts. The other grad students make fun of me a lot because I listen to podcasts about 3 times speed, which is about the same speed that I'm talking right now. But I find it really soothing and just get completely focused on something that isn't work and just a voice and moving around the kitchen. So
Cool, thanks for sharing. It's definitely important to figure out when we're all in this weird situation, how you
Yeah.
separate your time. So thanks for sharing those. That sounds like some really awesome stuff. So our last question today is, what is your favorite part about GWHT?
Yeah, so this is the easiest question of the day for me, the people. So NIMI has cultivated this group of superheroes that fill this space, and everyone here is amazing. Every single grad student is so creative and so impressive and so driven. And NIMI has really charged us with moving our own projects forward, obviously within reason, and for us to decide what we think is best. And with that, like super cool things happen. The stuff we work on here has the ability to change, healthcare systems and teaching pedagogy and change the way we do medicine, which is truly amazing. But it all comes out of people's minds from this center, and I think that is truly amazing. And this center wouldn't be the same without people that are in it. So, easy answer.
I agree completely. Well, Megan, thank you so much for being our student spotlight today.
Of course.